We are so excited that you're about to listen to the Cultivate OKC podcast. The podcast is a product of the Cultivate OKC Venture Accelerator. Our hope is that Oklahoma City will become famous for an atmosphere of flourishing. We believe in a courageous and connected movement of entrepreneurs leading redemptive ventures will play an outsized role in that story. Today's episode is a chapter in that story. Now let's jump in.
Hello and welcome to another Cultivate OKC podcast. I am Tracy Zerden, and Cultivate OKC is all about creating a redemptive culture in our city. We want to create, and I'm stealing our guest thunder by using this word, but we want to create an army of entrepreneurs who are out there in their communities, giving back and living selflessly and creating a culture where everyone is flourishing. And I'm so excited today because we are female strong today. We've got a lot of women on the podcast. First, I want to introduce my partner in crime today. I have Miss Natanya Hernandez with us today. Thank you for being here, Natanya.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Tracy.
So Natanya went to celebrate her sister's birthday last night and had a bit of a collision with a vehicle and her forehead.
This is true. Very true, unfortunately.
Our listeners can't see Natanya. Natanya's this gorgeous young woman, but she has a little bump on her forehead, so it happens.
Yeah, to the best of us. What are you going to do?
To the best of us. I know. Get a little bit of a headache today?
Yeah, just a little bit, but not a concussion, so we're good.
Not a concussion. Okay, it gives you a story, right?
Exactly.
You can make up something cool. Like
I should. I really should. Like cooler than what actually happened.
Cooler than what actually happened. That's okay. That happens. So I want to introduce our guests today. We have Miss Cindy and Amber of the Halo Project. And Halo Project is just the coolest thing, how they are helping children who are coming out of trauma situations. So I want to hear a little bit more about you guys personally. Cindy, tell us something, give us that's a little bit about your family and something unique about you today.
Oh, gosh. I am blessed with two wonderful children. I have a daughter who just graduated from high school and is taking a gap year this year before she heads off to college. She got the privilege of working at the Blue Zoo, which is an aquarium here in town, and has wanted to be a marine biologist literally since she could walk. And so she's out there actually taking care of the animals every day. And so she's just as happy as she could be. And then
that is so fun because
cool.
When you're in Oklahoma and you want to be a marine biologist, your options are limited.
You're kind of in trouble.
You are. That's so fun.
She's just so blessed to be there and got hired on right when they opened. And they've moved her over from just kind of the entertainment side to actually working with the animals. So she's learning more this gap year than I think she would probably learn in her first couple of years of college. So she's getting it all under her belt. And then I have a son who's a freshman this year in high school. So he's starting his high school journey. And they're a delight and the most important part of my world. So they're so much fun. And that kind of brings me to the unique thing about me, back to the animal stuff. I am a diehard for all things animal. And it is very well known about me. And so we have kind of, she goes to work to the zoo, but we also have our nice little zoo right at home as well. So we are surrounded by 4 dogs. We've got a turtle, a tortoise, and 3 snakes and a giant fish tank currently. So she and I just really have enjoyed that. And that's just a huge part of my life, and kind of helps offset some of this trauma that Amber and I deal with every day. But that is definitely something that's really important to me, is those 4-legged creatures and the ones that swim too.
I was going to say that I can your house has to be fun for one thing, because you've got all this stuff going on. But snakes, really? Snakes?
I
You enjoy the
know.
snakes?
Well, I didn't, but my daughter is smart, and so she knows about my love for animals, obviously. So she would take me, and we would look through the glass, and then the snakes would do something, like they would yawn, and she would say, "Oh, look how cute it is," and I'm like, "Oh, it's so cute," and then it would take a sip of water so gently with its little mouth, and say, "Oh, look at that," and I was like, "Oh, that's so cute," and then after about 6 or 7 visits to the snakes, she was like, "We can get one." I'm like, "They're so cute. Of course we can." So, and then it just went on from there.
Can they be in the same cage? Are they friends?
Two of them are in the same cage,
Okay.
and then one of them is by themselves. So,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
they're
I'm
super
kind of
fun.
I'm out on the snakes.
I
too.
That's why it's my unique thing, because I recognize that most people are out on the snakes, and but it is it's something that's really interesting in my life. I'm actually a vegetarian as well, and it's like several years ago. I mean, this got to be 15, 20, almost 20 years ago. I was traveling, and I was working for another nonprofit at the time before I moved to Oklahoma, and we would go around to developing countries, and we're doing kind of maternal child health. And so I would go, and we would bring volunteer doctors and things like that. But we were in this like super duper duper remote village in Peru. And because the doctors were coming, the village planned this like magnificent feast. And the item on the menu was guinea pig. And you can't go to a feast in your honor and not eat the food, right? But for me, I mean, I was sweating. I knew it was going to be guinea pig. I was like, what am I going to do? I can't not eat the guinea pig. That would be so insulting. And so we show up to the feast, and all the people that are with me are just kind of watching me. And I took a bite and actually ate some of this guinea pig, which I'm kind of sweating now as I recall this story. But there's this volunteer doc that was with us. He ate his as fast as he could. And he's like, "Oh, this is so good. Cindy, can I please have yours? Can I please?" And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much for saving me." And so he finished off my guinea pig meal for me.
That was so sweet of him to do that.
Yeah.
But when I picture guinea pig, I just think this little bitty thing. Does it look like a chicken on your plate? Like a little bitty?
Well, they cut it up and serve it almost like barbecue.
Guinea pig.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
I've never heard of guinea pig being on a menu anywhere.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So as a vegetarian, the last thing you want to eat.
Yes, is a fluffy little critter that squeaks. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. Miss Amber, tell us a little bit about you and something unique about you.
Okay. Well, I've been married for about 16 years, and my husband and I love baseball and boogie boarding in the ocean. And so we try to do that, and hiking as much as we can. We try to get out and do that. We have 2 grown adult children that we love with all our heart. It's tough being a mom and like being put out of your job. And so they're doing well, and they're independent, and one's 23 and one's 30, but they're doing really well. And so we love to get together with them. And then my dad lives with my husband and I. He's 78. So it's really fun having the opportunity to kind of just be close to my dad at this stage of life. So
yeah. That is unique.
We're enjoying it. So if I think about the most unique thing about me right now is that I panicked right before I turned age 50 and decided that I would take up drumming. So I am taking drum lessons, and my goal is within the next year, I will learn how to play at least one Earth, Wind, and Fire song without like a single missed beat. So I am on a mission to learn how to play the drums at 50.
That's impressive. Seriously, the drums. Nice.
So fun.
Do you like put on your headphones and rock out? Or
I do. My husband.
Everybody listen.
No, I have we have an electronic set at home. And so my husband is a drummer, so he'll give me drums and drum lessons. And so I can practice quietly, or everybody gets to hear it. It just depends what's happening with the lesson.
And
Okay,
Amber is
that's
like a huge Earth, Wind, and Fire fan. So if you know Amber, you know that. And I don't know, Amber, you should probably tell your story.
Yes, I was just going to say, tell us your story.
You have to hear this story. Yes.
Okay. So I was looking online and found an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert was coming to town to Tulsa, and it was right around my 50th birthday. And so I told my husband, like, oh my gosh, I know what you can get me for my birthday. I would really love these tickets. Like, I know this is the 5th time I've gone, but every time we go, I think it's their last tour. And so how about it, right? And so we got the special floor tickets just because it was my 50th birthday gift. And so I came and found Cindy before the concert, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I would love to talk to them and meet them. And like, I feel like I'm a little kid, like I'm going to this concert. I'm so excited. And this is what I'd say to them. And why am I even telling you this? Like, I feel like I'm 12, right? And I have this like crush on this band. And so I got to the concert and had the best time. And then I text Cindy and said, well, they didn't come out to talk to me. I guess I'm not a super fan, right? And so I don't know what struck me, but I just wanted to kind of reach out to them. There's 3 remaining members of the original band that are still living and still touring. And so I reached out to each of them individually and wrote like a thank you note, just saying like, just things are really hard in our community. Thank you for coming to visit and bringing some, while my joy comes from the Lord, like you guys brought a tremendous amount of happiness to me. And I am so excited that I got the opportunity to see you all. And we really do hard work. And so I was kind of running out of steam and feeling pretty weary, but now I feel really re-energized and excited. And I can kind of walk in Monday morning and pour into the team again. And so thank you for the gift. And so I just kind of sent it and thinking I'd never hear back, but at least like I just put my heart out there and just wanted to let them know how grateful I was for the fun. And so I get a phone call from Verdine White. He's the bass player. I get a call from his wife who just wanted to thank me for the kind note. And then Verdine White took the thank you note in my picture and put it on his Facebook page and like did like a shout out to like the big super fan and how much that thank you meant to him. And so it was so cool. And so the next week, Ralph Johnson, who's their percussionist, he reached out to me as well. And so it was just kind of fun that like, I've never done anything like that before. I had no expectation that I'd actually hear back. And then I heard from 2 of the 3. So it was really cool.
Like, so you really are a super fan. You
like
are
super fan. Yeah.
You're like the super fan. They called you. That's crazy.
She was running around this office like you could not contain her. It was so precious. It was so cute. She was so happy, like just so happy. So it was just super
fun.
So
fun. That's a great story.
Yeah. So I've decided with all of this, like 50 is going to be okay, is what I've decided. Like,
yeah. 50 is the new 30.
Yeah, that's what I'm being told.
We're going to go with that.
We're just going to roll with that.
We're just going to go with
counting on that, Tracy.
There you go. We're going to count on that.
We're going to go with that.
So, can y'all tell us a little bit more about your business, about the Halo Project, what you guys do, why you do it?
Absolutely. So, Halo Project really exists to bring healing to those who have been hurt in any form of relational trauma or have experienced something really hard in their lives. And so we began this journey in 2013. Both Amber and I were working as counselors in mental health, and we were seeing a variety of different types of clients and doing the very best that we could to bring healing to them and help them overcome the challenges that they were facing. And we just realized that there wasn't enough tools in our toolbox. And the 1 hour a week sessions maybe were good for some, but not great for others. And one of the populations specifically that we were running into where we felt like we lacked tools was the foster and adopt population. And so here in Oklahoma, we couldn't find the right tool. And so we just started to look nationally. Somewhere in the nation or the world, somebody is doing good work with this population. And we discovered trust-based relational intervention, which is coming out of Texas Christian University. And we just made it our goal to bring that intervention to the state of Oklahoma. And so I was trained in 2012. I think at the time we had 3 people in the entire state that were trained. Fast forward 9 years later, we have thousands that are trained. And so it's been an amazing thing to be able to give our community and the people who love our foster care population and our adoptive populations the tools that they need to love them properly and help them heal. So it's been an amazing journey to bring that to our community. And we just continue to find new and better ways to serve a variety of populations. Someone at the state level said, Sydney, this is amazing work, what you're doing with our foster and adopt population, but what about our biological families? Can't we do something to help keep the kids in the home and try to reduce the number of kids coming into foster care? And so we took that on as well. We quickly realized that we only had a portion of the formula. And so what we did was we created our own. We created our own intervention that was specifically designed for that population and survivors of intimate partner violence. And we decided that we were going to kind of share that with everybody too. And so we started sharing it in the state, but we also made the decision to train people everywhere else. So we just kind of basically sent out an email to the people that we knew that were doing good work. And lo and behold, they started showing up on the doorstep to be trained. And that curriculum is actually called Making Sense of Your Worth. And it's all designed to help an individual overcome the lies that they believe about themselves, like I'm not good enough and something's wrong with me, all the shame that people tend to carry in that internal dialogue that people have, which often most people actually have something like that, but you're going to see it at high frequencies with individuals who have experienced harm. And so we put that out there and people started showing up at our doorstep, and we did our first training in August of 2019 in that. And we have trained almost 400 facilitators worldwide. So we're in 36 states and 16 countries, and it's been translated into Spanish and it's about to be translated into Russian. So it has just taken off. It's in prisons all across the United States now. And so we've just been as busy as we can. So now we have kind of two clientele. We have the children and families that we serve, and then we also have professionals that we serve. And so, Amber, do you want to tell them about the Otcc?
Sure. Yeah. So other organizations, they approached us and they heard by word of mouth, right, that what we were doing was working. And so people started to approach us and say, can you share what you're doing? Because we hear that people are finding their self-worth and they're walking in freedom and they're happy and healthier. And so we started to reach back out to these organizations and offer 2-day trainings in TBRI so that they can also give that gift to other people. So I think we have 16 partner organizations, and we've trained over probably almost 2,000 professionals in the Oklahoma community on this best practice, this way to help people who've come from harm.
And next week, we're gearing up to train a lot of our law enforcement officers. Will be here in the building learning about kids with trauma and adults with trauma and how best to interact with individuals in that setting. So we're super excited about that. Mm-hmm. But all of this amazing work has led us to feel really comfortable with knowing that we have quality solutions for individuals who are hurting. Pretty much anyone who walks through our door with any type of mental health issue or trauma related or relational issue, pretty much anyone who walks through our door, we feel 100% confident that we have the tools that we need to help them, which is an amazing place to be. But I went to the staff and I said, guys, what is our biggest struggle as an organization right now? And all of them said, there's just not enough of us. With the pandemic and the increase in mental health services, we're just a small team. And although we train professionals, we wanted to upscale. We wanted to do more. And we knew that if we could train an army of mental health professionals to have the tools like we do, then we would make even a bigger impact in our community and our state. And so we went after a grant this year and actually got it from Impact Oklahoma. And it was a $100,000 grant. And then we got some funding from Flourish and some other donors. And we put that money together, and that's enabling us to train 100 therapists in the three top modalities that we use. And so that army of trained therapists will impact 8,000 children and families in Oklahoma City area in just the first year. And so we're definitely putting all of our efforts into sharing and training as many people as we can to meet the needs of our communities.
That's so exciting that you have a solution that works and that you have people who want to use it around the world, right? It's just a matter of the funding to be able to pay for people to do that, because therapists, they don't have a lot of money, right? I mean, you know.
And the trainings that we have special permissions to train. Well, one of them we created, right? Which you heard us talk about in the Making Sense of Yours. So we own that intellectual property, but we have very special permissions to train in the other two that most people don't have. And so we can train here. If you went out in the general public, we calculated it's about $10,000 for a therapist to be trained in what we're training them in, and we can do it for $1,500. So it's a huge gift to our community, and it's a huge gift to us that we have those permissions to do it. And so we see it as kind of the main focus for us right now, aside from the daily trauma work that we do.
So if someone went to your website, do you have a place that they could donate to help cover those costs for someone to come do the training?
Absolutely. And so I'm hoping relatively soon we are going to launch a Sponsor a Therapist program. And so if you are interested and you decide that you want to sponsor a therapist, you can just click on the donate button. It's $1,500 for them to go through the training. It's 3 different trainings, but that one therapist will have the tools that they need to help 80 Oklahomans in just the first year. So if I was a donor, I'm thinking that's a pretty good return on investment.
Absolutely. Give us your website so people know where to go.
So you can go to www.haloprojectokc.com.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Absolutely.
We want to take a quick moment to thank our partners, Praxis Labs out of New York and Flourish OKC. Praxis is a creative engine for redemptive entrepreneurship supporting founders, funders, and innovators motivated by their faith to love their neighbors and to renew culture. Flourish OKC is a collection of experiences, storytelling, and educational exchanges that explore value they want to see cultivated in Oklahoma City, including education, restorative justice, and resettling refugees. Cultivate OKC would not exist without our amazing partners, and we thank them. Now let's jump back into the podcast.
I know you can't give names or anything, but do you have like a special story that you could share, Amber or Cindy, of a child or two or an adult that's gone through your program? I mean, I'm sure you have thousands of them. But.
Yeah, absolutely. The one that comes to mind is actually a shared story with Cindy and I. And so I think this is probably the best one to pick. But long ago, when I was working for another organization, we were working with kids in the welfare system in foster care and their birth families. And so our job was to help train parents or teach parents how to, take care of their children in safe and healthy ways. And so what we found was that, well, number one, it was really hard work and that we were ill-equipped. And so unfortunately, this one family came in, and it was a dad and his daughter, and she was in foster care, and he would come weekly to try to learn he tried to learn parenting skills. And we tried and we tried and we tried, and we just showed up week after week after week. And unfortunately, we just didn't have what he needed. And eventually his rights were terminated. And so this little girl ended up in foster care, needing to have permanency. And so the foster family that she was with decided to adopt her, and she was about 4 at the time. And we tried really hard to meet her needs. And so if you can imagine coming from a place of great harm where you're not sure who's going to take care of you, you're left alone, like in your crib in the dark for days, like it's just a very hard place to be for a child, and not knowing, like, am I going to be safe? Who can I trust? Am I going to be harmed again? What's happening with my life? And so this little girl, she had kind of 2 responses. She would either have massive temper tantrums or a stress response where she would cry and hit and kick and just be completely dysregulated. And then, or she would freeze. So she'd completely go offline. She'd freeze. And she wouldn't move, and she just would, you could hardly, like, she was almost holding her breath, and she was just such a scared little girl, and nightmares and problems connecting with people and problems trusting people. And so we worked and we worked and we worked and we worked and we tried to do our best. But again, we didn't have the tools at the time. And so it just kind of got to a point where the family said, well, I think you've done what you can do for us. Like, we're not really seeing a whole lot of progress. And so we're going to go ahead and leave and discharge. And so that family left. And it was just another one of the stories of we didn't meet the needs of the clients that we were serving. And so it's really, it feels very hopeless to have compassion and a heart to help people and then not have what you need to make that happen. Right. So this happened over and over and over again. And eventually I got pretty discouraged, and I decided to go into private practice. The work was hard, and I didn't have the tools, and eventually met Cindy. God ordained, orchestrated a meeting in the hallway of a church where we were both presenting. And I had a child that we had adopted at the time that was really struggling, and nothing was working. And I just met with Cindy for a little bit, and she gave me a couple of tips, and all of a sudden we had a happier, healthier kid on our hands, and where he was more successful in relationships and trusting people, and he was more calm. And so I thought, there's something to this. And so eventually partnered with Cindy, and she kind of taught me about TBRI and came on board.
Can you give us TBRI, what that means?
Yes, trust-based relational intervention. It's out of the Texas Christian University Karen Purvis Institute for Child Development, the KPICD, as we refer to it here. And so we're so grateful for that gift that Dr. Cross and Dr. Purvis gave us, because it works for kids and families. And so came on board, and then, you look back over your career and you have a lot of regrets about all the kids and families that came through your door, and you didn't have the answer for them, and they left hopeless. And then another set came, and another set, and it just came, just family after family, you feel like you failed. And so there's those kids that, like, really, we love all of the kids that come and see us, but there's some that stick out to you. And this little girl really stuck out to me as a regret in my profession. And so lo and behold, her family had moved away, and they ended up coming back, and they sent me a message. They found me, and they said, hey, we're really struggling. We're kind of looking for what to do. Do you have any suggestions? And I said, absolutely. Like, we have the answer now. Please, please, please come to the Halo Project and come to our 10-week intervention and learn all about trust-based relational intervention, or TBRI. And so they did. And I will pass the story off, because what happened next is that they came to the 10-week intervention, and they ended up being assigned Cindy as the therapist. So
yeah. So this little girl was now I think 12 years old. So Amber saw her at 4, and then now she was back. And so she went through our 10-week intensive program, which is designed specifically for that population. And then that just helps the parents know exactly what to do, and helps teach the children about a lot of things that are happening within their family systems, and how to make the right choices and things like that. But after that, she continued to stay on weekly visits to make sense of her history and how her history has impacted the way that she sees the world. And the best news ever is that she graduated this week, and with flying colors, and the smile on her face, the wholeness within her, the freedom that she felt, the ability to know her value and her worth, and to understand how much she has love for herself and her family. And we won't see her again. Mm-hmm. She won't be back. And it's so wonderful to celebrate those moments of being able to to help a family like that. Then too, when you think about Amber's story, it really tells the story of Halo, not having the solution, finding the solution, and then making sure that we can get it to as many people as possible, because she's one little girl and there's so many. And if they walk and they end up through our doors, they're going to get what they need. But we're one organization, and we need to be able to make sure that children can walk into any mental health professional in Oklahoma and get what they need. And that's really the journey that we're on, because it works. And for that little girl, if we would have had it when she was 4, she wouldn't have been here when she's 12, right?
In fact, she asked us why she was back. And it was a really great moment to go make a repair with her and just say, we didn't have what you needed. It's not you, it's us. Like, we did not do our job as healthy, safe grownups to meet your needs. And so now we have an answer. And she was so kind and gracious to give us another opportunity, right? As mental health professionals, like, let's come and be open to what else do you have, Yeah.
I love that story, and that God gave you a second chance, Amber, because that was a regret that you had. So it was something that was hanging over your head. 2, that she was trusting again, like you just said, that she was gracious enough to actually do it, because we all know if a child, especially a teenager, dig their heels in and says, I'm not doing this, then there's nothing you can do, but that she was able to do it. And you don't really hear about people graduating from a mental health issue. I mean, you just don't. It's almost like an addiction, that it's just an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
So what a neat testimony.
And we measure success here by, like, one of our big markers is that when they leave here, they no longer need mental health services. Like, that's what we're measuring. We're not referring them off to somebody else unless it's a specialist. But we stick with them until we can literally say, you're good to go. You do not need counseling anymore. And it's a wonderful, beautiful thing.
It is. And on the last day, we have a handprint wall where kids, we paint their hands and then they put their handprint on the wall and then they write their name if they so choose. And what's really fun is that when kids come in and they get a tour, when a new child shows up to join the Halo family, right? And we're part of theirs, they get to walk down that hallway and see all the handprints of the kids that have come before them. And it's so encouraging and so hopeful. And then it's also fun for the people, all the staff, because we get to walk by and see and be like, oh, I remember that kiddo. Like, remember how much fun they were on the scooter. Remember like when they graduated, how happy they were. Like, it's just a really fun reminder of the goodness, like just how God has given this gift to bring restoration and healing to these kids and families.
What a great picture too, to have the handprint. That's a very personal thing. It's a unique thing to each person, and to have that up on the wall. And I love that you guys have scooters and all sorts of fun things at your place. Because when you think of a therapist, you think, a dark office.
Yes. Dark colors. Yes.
No, I mean, the kids love coming here. They love coming here, and they wear their little Halo shirts sometimes when they come, and they know where the kitchen is. They make themselves at home. We get drinks and snacks, and we have volunteers that come in and write on the little solo cups how wonderful they are. So every time you get a drink of water on your cup, it says something special and unique. And I mean, just their whole experience here is like, this is the heaviest work in the world. Talking about the most difficult things that we could never even imagine happens to these little kids. And to know that they can walk through the door and feel seen, heard, and valued, that all their needs are going to be met, that it's a safe place to feel the emotions, but also to laugh and have fun in the midst of it. I mean, it is treasure. It is treasure to, like, just be sitting in your office and have a little kid come by on a scooter. And they're so happy. And they just spent 45 minutes talking about the deepest, darkest things that could happen to a human. And then they hop on this scooter and whiz around. And it's just, that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. We shouldn't be in the dark office in the corner. We need to be showing them joy, because their whole experience up until this point was not that. Like, we have to show it to them.
Well, thank you guys for doing that impossibly hard work that I can't even imagine. I think, Natanya, I don't know about you, but I would be curled up in a corner somewhere, fetal position, not being able to function, just hearing just even some stories, let alone the number that you hear in a day. What about you, Natanya? Do you feel like you would have that same response?
Yeah, I mean, God calls people for it. And so you guys are so special for not only doing it, but doing it because the Lord has called you to do it. And so, I mean, that's what matters.
Mm-hmm. So within the Cultivate community, Cindy and Amber are known as the Wonder Twins of mental health because they are. We see them as superheroes. They you guys look the same. You do. They do. Cute blonde girls. Cute blonde girls.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I was going to say, I bet people do that. So you guys are definitely heroes. So thank you for what you do. So we're about a little bit more than halfway through the Cultivate Accelerator program. Tell us what has been your ROI. What has been the benefit to you all to being a part?
I know Amber and I have very similar experiences, but unique ones as well. But I think one of the biggest takeaways, well, there's so many. One of the biggest though is for us specifically, coming from the nonprofit world, we didn't feel like we functioned like a business. Like we felt like that whole business world was foreign, and so we didn't lead the business side of what we do with confidence, just because it was a huge unknown. And so the Cultivate experience has taught us that we do know business, and we do know how to do this, and the things that we don't know, we just learned through the Cultivate experience. Mm-hmm. And so for us, it was just a game changer in our overall confidence to run the organization to a higher level, which of course translates into more children getting help. And I think that's where we exactly need to be if we're talking about this grander statewide change and things like that. So confidence is probably one of the biggest things. And for me too, in particular, the second is just all the new friendships and the community that it creates. It does feel like home when we're all together. And even when Cultivate is bringing in new people for us to meet, they still feel like home. And so just being around like-minded individuals who really care about our community and are all working towards building a better community and a better city, and just being around that strength makes you feel stronger. Especially for Amber and I, who started Cultivate. I think every time we were asked what the prayer requests were, it was like, we're tired, we're weary, please, please, please. And I've noticed that I'm not putting that anymore. It's a renewed strength and confidence in going out there and doing what we're going to do. And I think that's completely priceless, and something that was unexpected completely for us.
So Cultivate's like a vitamin full of energy for you.
times a billion.
Times a billion. There you go.
The
nice.
Super vitamin. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Amber?
Where do I start? Okay. So the first thing is that after day one, I went home and my husband said, well, what was it like? Because I had no idea what to expect. I really didn't. I was kind of like, Cindy's like, do you want to do this with me? Let's think about it. Let's pray about it. And we have this running joke that Cindy is a lifelong lover of learning. And so she has also imparted that gift to me now. And so I wasn't sure what to expect, right? So I walk in and I came home and my husband's like, what do you think? And I'm like, oh, if you want to put me in a room full of people who love Jesus, who want to like transform a city and talk about God's goodness all day and how he's at work, like this is the place. Like, yes, please, right? I think the other piece for me is just seeing God at work and hearing all of the stories. And it's just really encouraging and it just brings a lot of hope. I also love the fact that as people who give a lot of emotional investment all day, every day, it was very strange at first to show up and have people love us so well. Like we felt like we were doing like, what are we supposed to be doing? Right. And it's y'all are like, receive it and like learn and receive and feel loved and taken care of and equipped and how can we help you? You know, how can we help you? What do you need and how can we help you? And just that is such a gift walking into learning just different business models and all of the guest speakers. There is not a day that I walk out that I am sorry I was there. I wish the day would go on for longer. I wish we would meet, more often. It's just like, you just can't get enough. And so I think you guys have a really great culture of caring for people and loving people well, and yet equipping people in the things that they need to kind of take them where God wants them to go. And so I think it's a gift, y'all.
It's a gift.
Like, it's such a gift.
And we are very sad that it's going to end.
Yeah.
I know. We only have 2 more meetings.
I know.
Well, we've already been talking about alumni events because we just want to keep everybody connected. And
oh yeah, we're in.
Oh, that's so great. So, ladies, what do you want to lead us with today? What do you want to leave our listeners with? A way that you could encourage them or motivate them? What would you want to say?
I think just some hope. I think that our climate out there it's not filled with hope, unfortunately, because of all the things that as a nation we've just been through. And so I think that right now people in general, and I'm sure your listeners, I guarantee there are listeners that are hurting. There's the number of people that we're seeing who are hurting has skyrocketed. So I guarantee probably the majority of your listeners are hurting. So I would say just hope for the future, and that if you are hurting, there are solutions and there are people that love and care, and that it won't always be like this is what I would probably say. Amber?
I mean, can you follow that? There's a lot of hope. And I think that's one of the things that has been really refreshing, is to see that, coming from a place where we couldn't provide hope before, and tools and skills for people, and to watch people walk out of here and have really, low scores and self-worth and hope, and they don't feel lovable and they think there's something wrong with them. And then to walk out and they are walking in freedom and knowing their worth and knowing who God is and his goodness, and he created them for a plan and a purpose. And so while the climate is really heavy, there's also a lot of hope. There's a lot of people. That's the other thing about Cultivate. There's a lot of people in this community who love people. And we all want the same thing, right? And so I love that there's this huge collaboration in our city. And it used to not be like that. When I first started in 2000, every organization was separate and they did their own thing. And now I see this just coming together of our community, of really fighting for goodness. And so I just echo, hope is real, and hope is there. And
yeah. And if you're not
Definitely
feeling it and if you're not feeling it from the podcast, you can sign up and come see us. We'll give you some in person.
There you go. Give us your URL again so people can come find you if they need help, if they know someone who needs help, or if they want to support a therapist getting trained.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's haloprojectokc.com.
There you
and
go.
There's all kinds of good stuff on there. And if you're not sure how to reach us by all the buttons and things you can push and sign up for, you could just go to the Contact Us page and get a hold of Amber and I really quickly.
There you go. Easy peasy. Well, ladies, thank you for taking the time to share with us about Halo. And again, thank you for being a hero in the front lines, in the trenches, in the mud, in the gook with those kids, and giving them hope and letting them ride scooters.
Yes,
that's right.
Absolutely.
Tanya, thanks for jumping on and helping out today. I appreciate you being here.
Of course. It's always a blast.
Yeah, we have fun. Listeners, thank you again for joining us for another Cultivate OKC podcast. If you are a business or a nonprofit and you're looking for a little guidance, you're at a point, maybe a pivotal decision needs to happen, or you're shifting, or you just want to get loved on for a while, right? Or you just want to learn a little bit more on how to be, to do your business in a way that is functional, that is profitable, but is also redemptive, in a way that gives back to your community, shifts your focus to where you're not necessarily the owner, but you are the steward. We would love to help you. You can go to our website. Natanya, you want to give us our website?
Yes, it is www.cultivate.city.
Perfect. Or you can email me directly. I'm Tracy, Tracy, at cultivate.city. And we want to challenge you today. We're all about flourishing. We want to help everyone flourish. But you can do that today in your world. You don't have to be part of Cultivate to make that happen. Choose one person today that you can get out there, that you can make a difference in their life today. And it may just be smiling at someone on the street. That's a simple thing. That's an easy thing, but you don't know how far that's going to go. Maybe you're the only person that smiled at that person today. So find a way that you can reach out and show some love today, that you can help those around you flourish.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Cultivate OKC podcast. We are committed to helping everyone in OKC flourish, not just the privileged, connected, or credentialed, but everyone. That is why we exist, to nurture and multiply that movement. If you're an entrepreneur of a nonprofit or a for-profit and would like to learn more about the Cultivate Venture Accelerator, go to www.cultivate.city for more information. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode of Cultivate OKC.